I'd like to bring this appropriations meeting to order. We have 18 bills on file, of which 10 of these bills are eligible for due pass motion. The remaining bills are suspense items. Also to note, AB 950 by Assemblywoman Melendez has been rescheduled for next week's hearing at the request of the author. Since this is our first hearing of Assembly bills, I would like to remind the audience and members that the testimony should be limited to the fiscal aspects of the bill. Please refrain from lengthy policy discussions in your comments. Sergeants, would you please call absent committee members, and also the authors who will be presenting bills today so we can get started. Authors presenting bills with due pass recommendations are the Assembly members Holden, Levine, Chavez, Bonilla, Bloom, Hernandez, Bonta, and Ridley Thomas. Also note, presentation is being waived on all suspense bills. So if we can get author, would be great. You know, members, what we're going to do, since we're waiting on the assembly, assembly members, we're going to start with the bills that are we're waiving presentation, and before that, we'll establish a quorum. Secretary, please call the roll.
Laura?
Here.
Laura here. Bates? Bates here. Bell? Hill? Leyva? Leyva here. Mendoza? Mendoza here. Nielsen?
Thank you. We have a quorum. We're going to begin with AB 144 from Assemblymember Mathis. Witnesses in support? Witnesses in opposition? Finance?
Jacqueline Wong Hernandez with the Department of Finance. We are opposed to this measure because creating a new crime punishable as a misdemeanor could lead to additional cases entering the court system, increase the statewide adult jail population, and impact the ability of counties to manage their offender population. This bill could have an impact on county jail populations to the extent that individuals convicted of a fourth or subsequent dumping offense are sentenced to up to 30 days in jail, which is not currently allowed.
Thank you. Comments or questions from committee? Seeing none and hearing none, without objection, we'll move this item to suspense. I see we have Assemblyman Holden. Please come forward. Members, this is AB 220. Assemblyman Holden, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members, senators. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to present Assembly Bill 220, a measure relating to the Algebra 1 high school graduation requirements. AB 220 updates the high school graduation requirements by specifying that completion of Mathematics 1 would satisfy this requirement. The costs related to AB 220 will be absorbable and will enable local education agencies to modify procedures to comply with the revised graduation requirements. This bill simply updates the Algebra 1 high school graduation requirement to ensure that students are able to graduate from high school. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Witnesses in support?
Good morning. Sue Vang on behalf of State Superintendent of Public Instruction Tom Torlikson, a sponsor of AB 220. This is a technical cleanup bill. It provides clarification to the districts and to the field regarding the courses that meet the Algebra 1 high school graduation requirement. As the Assembly member stated, school districts are implementing the new mathematics content standards, and this bill would result in minor cost to school districts and no cost to the Department of Education. Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in support?
Good morning. My name is Alejandro Sandoval on behalf of EdVoice in support of this bill.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in support? Witnesses in opposition? Comments or questions from committee? Seeing none, there's a motion on the measure. Finance.
We're neutral on this bill, which ensures that students are able to meet the high school math graduation requirements regardless of the courses that are offered, as long as they meet the appropriate rigor. We don't see it as having a fiscal impact to the Department of Ed, and to the extent that students are no longer required to take additional courses to satisfy the graduation requirements for math, the clarity could actually result in some savings at the local level.
Oh, you don't hear that often.
Yeah,
So with that, we have a motion on this item. Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Laura?
Aye.
Laura, aye. Bates? Bates, aye. Bell? Hill? Hill, aye. Leyva? Leyva, aye. Mendoza? Mendoza, aye. Nielsen.
Senator, we want to keep that item open to allow our absent members to add on.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
C, we have Senator Levine. Members, this is AB 331. Senator Levine, please proceed.
Good morning, members. Thank you very much. AB 331 allows school boards to contract in size from 5 to 3. There are some very small school districts in my district and throughout the state where having members on these boards has been very challenging. I've had 2 such districts this past year. The costs are quite minor. We have also Aaron Evans Fudum to comment representing Sonoma County.
Thank you. Witnesses in support.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Erin Evans Fudum on behalf of the Sonoma County Office of Education. AB 331 solves a problem that has arisen twice in the past year in Sonoma County. Current law allows school districts with an average daily attendance of less than 300 to have 3 governing board members. However, some can choose to go up to 5 governing board members. Once enrollment has decreased, there is no mechanism in law to contract the size of the school board back down to 3 board members. So this bill adds that mechanism. There is no state cost, and there is little to no cost to the local governing boards as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Additional witnesses in support.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members. Leangela Reed on behalf of the Santa Clara County Office of Education and the School Employers Association of California in support.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Finance.
We don't see a fiscal impact to the state by this bill.
Great, thank you. Is there a motion, is there comments or questions from committee? So motion by Senator Hill. Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Laura?
Aye.
Laura, aye. Bates? Bates, aye. Bell? Hill? Aye. Hill, aye. Leyva? Leyva, aye. Mendoza? Mendoza, aye. Nielsen.
Senator Levine will keep that item open to add, let our other members add on. Thank you.
Thank you, members. Have a great day.
Senator Bonilla. Members, this is item AB 599. Senator Bonilla, take it away.
Assemblymember Bonilla. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I present to you AB 599, which updates the scope of practice of cytotechnologists to reflect the technology advances. It authorizes them to perform all tests and procedures pertaining to cytology, not just those associated with microscope slides. The analysis cites it costs only $120,000 for regulation development. And what we're seeing is that the cytotechnologists are actually training in California, leaving the state because their scope isn't broad enough here in the state. And so this will actually allow us to keep our investment in training our local Californians here in the state and also really create some jobs here as well. I do have a witness, Bob Ackerman, representing the California Association of Pathologists to testify in favor of the bill.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair and members, Bob Ackerman on behalf of the California Society of Pathologists. We are one of the co-sponsors of the bill, collaboration with cytotechnologists, which are part of the laboratory community. Pathologists, physicians who specialize in laboratory medicine, cytopathology is one subspecialty, and these people are very intricate in terms of what they do. As the Assemblywoman said, it simply updates the statutory definition that's very old.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Finance.
We don't have a position on this bill at this time, but the Department of Public Health indicates that it would require a 2-year limited term examiner 2 position at a cost of $117,000 in 16-17 and $115,000 in 17-18 to develop the regulations governing the expansion of the cytologist scope of practice. Any ongoing costs would be minor and absorbable.
Thank you. Comments or questions from committee? There's a motion by Senator Leyva. Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Laura?
Aye.
Laura, aye. Bates? Aye. Bates, aye. Bell? Hill? Hill, aye. Leyva? Leyva, aye. Mendoza? Mendoza, aye. Nielsen.
Thank you. We want to keep that open for our absent members. Assemblymember Bloom. Assemblymember, you have 2 items, AB 703 and AB 1166. My understanding is you're waiving presentation on 703?
Yes, that's correct.
Great, thank you. So members, we have AB 1166. Senator Bloom, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also have Assembly Bill 1149 on behalf of Assembly Member Wood, but I'll start with AB 1166. This is a bill that the committee has made some recommended technical amendments. We're happy to accept those. And the bill itself clarifies that certain aspects of a bill I carried last session, AB 1806, as sometimes happens, needs some help. And that bill gives students identified as homeless education-related rights similar to those of their foster youth peers. It ensures that homeless students who obtain housing and students who are homeless but not properly identified as so can still receive the assistance that's provided by 1806 that I carried last year, as I said. And as stated in the analysis, the bill has minimal cost, has no opposition and no votes, and I ask that you please support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Witnesses in support.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members. Leangela Reed on behalf of the Association of California School Administrators in strong support. AB 1166 not only removes some of the obstacles to graduation for homeless youth, but it recognizes that being homeless can affect a child even after they find stable housing. For these reasons, we support the bill.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Finance.
We don't have a position on this bill. However, we have a concern that the bill could create a reimbursable state mandate if it's determined that school districts are required to track the issuances of specified notices and corresponding eligibility, or to ensure that the exemptions are granted to homeless youth are maintained until graduation, whether or not a student subsequently changes schools after they're no longer homeless. Additionally, the State Department of Education estimates costs between $15,000 and $20,000 general fund to develop a management bulletin and provide technical assistance to LEAs.
Thank you. Let me just clarify something. Do you accept the amendments, correct? That we're
Correct.
proposing? Thank you. Just to make that clear. Any comments or questions from committee? There's a motion to move the bill as amended by Senator Mendoza. Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is do pass as amended to the Senate floor. Laura?
Aye.
Laura, aye. Bates? Bates, aye. Bell? Hill? Hill, aye. Leyva? Leyva, aye. Mendoza? Mendoza, aye. Nielsen.
Thank you. We're going to keep that item open to allow our absent member to add on.
Thank you.
And I understand you're presenting for Senator Wood?
That's correct.
Perfect. Members, this is item AB 1149. And go ahead.
That is correct, Mr. Chair and Senators. The Hospital Preparedness Program allocates federal money to support preparedness in the face of public health emergencies, such as terror attacks, natural disasters, epidemics, illnesses, and the like. Funds for the program are administered through a non-competitive grant process at the CDPH, their Emergency Preparedness Office, to be specific. Historically, trade associations have been key assets to the program as they are naturally structured for education and outreach to membership. And in 2014, CDPH rendered a new interpretation of the Health and Safety Code, determining that because associations are not specifically identified in the code, they can't participate. So AB 1149 fixes that by simply adding the words trade association to the code, allowing them to be able to serve in this very valuable program. This change will also save CDPH resources because they won't have to search for other entities to run the program. Here in support, Matthew Robinson of the California Association of Healthcare Facilities is present.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members. Matt Robinson, California Association of Health Facilities. Thank you for this opportunity this morning. This is just a technical cleanup to continue the status quo with the associations who have been receiving this funding in the years past, such as California Association of Health Facilities, California Primary Care Association, and California Hospital Association. We do have the infrastructure already in place to continue this disaster preparedness and emergency preparedness, so we ask for your support.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Finance.
We don't believe that this bill has a fiscal impact. It does not divert HPP funds away from public health, since trade associations involved in emergency preparedness activities have, as Assemblymember Bloom indicated, already been receiving funds from the Department of Public Health prior to the need to clarify their eligibility, which is what this does.
Thank you. Comments or questions from committee? There's a motion by Senator Leyva. Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Laura?
Aye.
Laura, aye. Bates? Bates, aye. Bell? Bell, aye. Hill? Hill, aye. Leyva? Leyva, aye. Mendoza? Mendoza, aye. Nielsen.
We'll keep that item open to allow our absent member to add on. Thank you. Senator Bloom.
Assemblymember Wood thanks you.
Members, I don't see any other assembly members. We're going to keep moving down the agenda on those items that we've waived presentation, beginning with AB 222 by Assemblymember Ashajian. Witnesses in support. Go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members. I'm Kobe Pizzati with the California Association of Psychiatric Technicians. As many of you are aware, 92% of the patients residing in state mental hospitals are there under a forensic commitment. This means that the committing criminal offense must have been a serious and violent nature. Over 70% of CAP's membership are women, many whom have been stalked by the patients once they have been released from the facilities. Also, CAPT has nearly 1,100 psych techs providing direct level of care to mentally unstable inmates in our state's prisons. While nearly all of the staff that work in a prison enjoy the protection of the state's enhanced confidentiality program at the DMV through an oversight, psychiatric technicians are not. One of our members, I'll call her Rachel, had a patient become infatuated with her while she was providing care at one of the state's hospitals. This infatuation turned into an obsession and eventually harassment. Rachel was moved off the unit where the patient was to protect her from the unwanted advances that soon became attacks. Finally, the patient was released into the community, and Rachel thought she was safe and the harassment had stopped until one day, Rachel started receiving threatening texts from what turned out to be the patient. He sent her vulgar pictures and made threats to harm her and her family. Rachel contacted the police and got a restraining order. Unfortunately, the police could not find the former patient. The harassment continued. She and her family finally changed all of their phone numbers until one day there came a knock at her door. Rachel looked through her peephole and realized it was a patient. Thankfully, the police were there to pick up the patient just a few blocks away. Another incident from one of the prisons included one of our members that I'll call Stan. Stan had been receiving verbal threats from an inmate until one day the chief psychiatrist and warden wanted to speak with Stan regarding some of the letters the inmate had sent to his family. The letters told the inmate's family to find out all the information they could on Stan, including getting his license plate and make and model of his car. The inmate was set to be released in 4 months. The warden told Stan of the enhanced confidentiality program at the DMV and encouraged him to fill out the proper paperwork and apply. When Stan went to do so, he was informed that the psych tech classification was not protected under the enhanced confidentiality program, even though they have some of the most direct, frequent contact with inmates. This bill simply seeks to protect psych techs that have the most direct contact with serious and violent criminals by including them in the list with every other classification of employee at the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation in the enhanced confidentiality program at DMV. Thank you.
Any additional witnesses in support? Witnesses in opposition? Finance.
We don't have a position on this bill, but DMV notes that the bill would cost $134,000 to implement and $30,000 in ongoing costs to the motor vehicle account. These costs include IT programming costs related to implementation and ongoing administrative expenses. And as we've continued to note this year, the MVA has a structural imbalance, and it's due to projected to become insolvent in 2017-18.
Thank you. Go ahead. Comments or questions? Senator Leyva.
I had a question for finance. So this would just be adding a group of individuals, employees, to the protected list. Why are the costs so high?
So there is a whole process for doing that, and those are all done manually by only a small group of employees at DMV. So everything is sent through a central place to do that, and then those are the employees, the only ones who can access that information going forward. And so there's sort of an infrastructure to do it. And in the past, DMV has indicated that this has been potentially minor costs, and the ongoing costs are minor of the $30,000. But then it's become increasingly common to do this. So there's 25 classifications of employees right now that have it. And so DMV's indicated this is becoming a significant expense to them.
So the $134,000 that's projected would be the cost for DMV to enter all the psych techs in?
Yes, and to process the paperwork from the department.
Okay, so
it's
yes,
one
that
time,
would be a
yes.
one-time, and then, like you said, the $30,000 ongoing. Okay,
We don't have computers to do that, I guess.
I guess not. It seems like it's well worth the cost. Thank you.
I'll take that as a motion to move to suspense. So without objection, we'll move this item to suspense. Next, we have AB 231 by Assemblymember Eggman. Witnesses in support, witnesses in opposition. Finance?
The Department of Finance is neutral on this bill because it creates equal protections for victims of stalking offenses when an offender is released from prison regardless of the offender's type of post-prison supervision. We recognize that this measure may constitute a higher level of service under Prop 30 because it could drive additional workload for county probation departments that supervise offenders on the post-release community supervision. That said, CDCR indicates that from in 2013 and 2014, 295 offenders with either a controlling or subordinate offense of stalking were released on post-release community supervision. So we believe that any local costs resulting from this will be minor.
Great, thank you. Comments or questions from committee? Seeing none, without objection, we move this item to the suspense file.